All right, moving to Ezekiel chapter 38. It says, while reading this passage, I was understanding it to be referring to the end times, and specifically right after the rapture. In verse 20, it talks about the every living things knowing God's presence, and the mountains shall be thrown down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. I wanted to know if I was accurate in assuming that this chapter was about end times, and to my understanding, after the rapture. If not, could you help me? And then also, who is Gog?
Okay.
And then in quotations, they put Antichrist as a possibility. So who is Gog?
Yeah, I was actually, I'm in agreement with you as far as the timing goes. Later on in the passage, when you get to chapter 39, it talks about the weapons that these guys come down with, and it says that they're used for fuel by Israel for 7 years. And that's just a really interesting number, because that's the length of time that you have for what we call the tribulation period, the 70th week of Daniel, and what we have in the book of Revelation. So yeah, I think I think this attack takes place just before or during or just after the rapture. I think that the destruction that comes from this attack comes after the rapture. The Bible talks about in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 that the rapture takes place and then sudden destruction comes upon those who dwell on the earth, those who think that they're dwelling in safety and peacefully. And so, yeah, I think that's what's taken place. So as far as your timing goes, yeah, beginning of the tribulation period. So just before, during, or just after the point of the rapture. As far as Gog goes, I don't think that Gog is the Antichrist. The Antichrist actually rises from this, and Gog is connected with Magog. Magog in the passage, actually historically, is going to be talking about Russia. And the Bible indicates that the Antichrist rises out of the revived Roman Empire. So it has to be out of an area that was part of the Roman Empire during the time that Jerusalem was taken out. So the Bible talks about Jerusalem being taken out by a nation, and a prince of that nation is going to be the one who sets up a covenant with the people of Israel that's supposed to last for 7 years, and he defiles it in the midst of the 7 years at the midpoint. That's the Antichrist. So he's got to be connected with Rome. Russia was never connected with Rome. And so Gog is connected with Magog. Magog is he's a prince of Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal, it says in the passage, and that's all talking about people groups that were connected with what we would call Russia nowadays. Okay, so who's Gog? Gog is a personal name, and Gog is the one that is ruling in Magog, and so when you look at that, it can be a man. The problem is Gog is around for over 1,000 years. This takes place right before the tribulation period, right at the beginning of the tribulation period. When you go over to Revelation chapter 20, you see Gog and Magog involved again in a rebellion against God. And that's in...
When you say at the beginning, do you mean the thing that kicks it off?
Yeah, the thing that kicks off the tribulation period. In Revelation chapter 20, it says, now when the 1,000 years have expired, Satan will be released from his prison. This is in verse 7 of chapter 20, and will go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints and the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. And so at the end of the 1,000-year reign of Christ, there is a rebellion of nations, and Gog and Magog are involved in that rebellion. It looks like Gog and Magog are taken out at the beginning of the tribulation period, and it looks like that nation is still smarting after the 1,000-year reign of Christ. And it wouldn't be the people who went into the 1,000-year reign, it would be their children that were born during the 1,000-year reign of Christ. They know about history, and it looks like they're smarting because of the destruction that you have in Ezekiel chapter 38. So that would be Magog, but who's Gog at that point? And so Gog's got to be somebody that can live over 1,000 years. And it looks like that is not talking about a man. It looks like it's talking about a demon. And so one of the things that you have in Scripture is the fact that when Satan is trying to influence mankind, he goes to rulers of nations and he becomes like the power behind the throne. And so it's not just Satan, but it can be Satan's guys, Satan's minions. Sorry to use that, because whenever I think of minions, I think of little yellow guys. But Satan's helpers, so to speak. And so in the book of Daniel, you have a situation where there's a prince of Persia that resists an angel coming to Daniel for 3 weeks. And that's not a man. That is talking about a demon that is fighting with a godly angel. And so in that passage, he's called the Prince of Persia, not the King of Persia, the Prince of Persia. And so I think Gog is something along the same lines. You have satanic forces that are at work in Washington, D.C. You have them also at work in Moscow. And so Gog would be the satanic force that's at work in Moscow, I believe. So.
And isn't it interesting that when you turn on the news, Israel just went into Rafah. I'm sure you've seen that, but I've never seen the turn towards anti-Semitism, anti-Israeli sentiment,
yeah.
Especially in America, in the college campuses, as quickly as it has in the last, let's say, 3 months.
Yeah, it's Hitler-esque.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's Nazi-like.
Yep. And then Gog and Magog has this interesting pickle of a war over in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And you read this and it's like, you can't make that up.
Yeah.
It's like front and center.
All the actors are in place.
Yep.
Yeah. We're quickly moving towards abandoning Israel, which is what Ezekiel chapter 38 says takes place. Israel is on their own when that battle takes place.
Yep. So. Interesting times.
Yep.